Jean Lafitte is one of history's most intriguing figures, an enigmatic pirate, privateer, and smuggler whose exploits left a lasting impact on the Gulf Coast. I'm your host, Stu Donald. Let's head to the Delta. In the early 1800s, Jean Lafitte and his older brother, Pierre, established a bustling smuggling operation on Grande Terre Island near Barataria Bay, which is in Louisiana. The Lafitte brothers capitalized on Louisiana's demand for goods, importing contraband from the Caribbean. Jean and Pierre Lafitte's early days in Barataria set the stage for their rise to infamy as smugglers and privateers. Originally hailing from the Caribbean, they likely arrived in Louisiana in the early 19th century. Their backgrounds remain a bit of a mystery, but they were most likely French descent and seemed to have at least some maritime experience before establishing themselves in New Orleans. In such a bustling port city, the Lafitte brothers found fertile ground for their operations. New Orleans was a melting pot of cultures and a hub of commerce, but it was, and still is, rife with corruption and a high demand for contraband goods. Pierre initially operated as a merchant, providing a legitimate front for their underground smuggling activities. Meanwhile, Jean, the more charismatic and cunning of the two, worked to expand their network of suppliers and customers. By leveraging their connections in the Caribbean with other privateers, they began importing illicit goods such as sugar, coffee, and tobacco. They sold these items at reduced prices compared to taxed imports, quickly earning them both profit and notoriety. Barataria was a network of marshes and waterways, ideal for evading authorities while maintaining access to New Orleans' market. In these early days, the Lafittes gained a reputation for their resourcefulness and their ability to navigate both the respectable and illicit worlds. Jean's charm and diplomacy made him popular among locals, while Pierre's business acumen solidified their smuggling empire. This period laid the groundwork for their later exploits as privateers and their pivotal roles in Louisiana's history. During the War of 1812, the British recognized the strategic importance of Louisiana and were hell-bent on capturing New Orleans. Knowing the Gulf Coast was home to skilled privateers, including the infamous pirate Jean Lafitte, the British attempted to forge an alliance with him, hoping his naval expertise and fleet could bolster their efforts. The British emissaries approached Lafitte with a tempting offer: substantial wealth and a high-ranking position in the British forces, and protection for his Barataria smuggling base in exchange for his support in their campaign against the United States. Lafitte, however, saw an opportunity to play a different game. While outwardly entertaining the British proposal, he secretly informed American authorities about the approach, offering his allegiance to the U.S. in return for amnesty for him and his men. Although initially skeptical, due to Lafitte's reputation as a pirate, you see, the Americans eventually did accept his offer, and Lafitte provided crucial intelligence about British plans. This act positioned Lafitte as an unlikely hero in the conflict and paved the way for his role in defending New Orleans during the iconic Battle of 1815. Lafitte's cunning move not only safeguarded his smuggling empire, but also secured his place in Louisiana's history as a shrewd and daring figure. Lafitte's role in the Battle of New Orleans elevated him from outlaw to unsung hero. Despite being a smuggler and pirate, Lafitte proved to be an invaluable ally to the United States during the war. When General Andrew Jackson learned of Lafitte's offer of allegiance, Jackson initially distrusted him. After all, Lafitte had a well-known reputation as a scoundrel. However, Lafitte demonstrated his sincerity by providing crucial intelligence about British plans, which convinced Jackson of his loyalty. With that, Lafitte and his Baratarian privateers officially joined the American cause. During the Battle of New Orleans, Lafitte supplied much-needed flint, gunpowder, and artillery to the American forces. His resources proved invaluable in fortifying the city's defenses, as supplies were limited during the war. The Baratarian pirates were seasoned fighters, particularly in guerrilla and naval combat. They were stationed at key positions along the American defensive line at Chalmette Battlefield. Their expertise with cannons and their fearless demeanor were vital to holding back British troops. Lafitte and his men knew the waterways and terrain of the Gulf Coast like the back of their hands. Their knowledge helped the Americans maneuver more effectively against the British by taking advantage of the unique and foreign environment. The American forces, under Jackson's leadership and with Lafitte's assistance, decisively defeated the British. Though the Treaty of Ghent had already been signed, unknown to the combatants at this time, the victory was pivotal in boosting American morale and securing New Orleans as a key port for the young nation. In recognition of Lafitte's contributions, the U.S. government ultimately granted him and his men a pardon for their past crimes. However, true to his nature, Lafitte did not abandon his piratical ways for long, resuming smuggling and privateering activities not long after the war, leaving many to question whether he ever had intentions to reform or if the allure of high-stakes adventure was just too strong. Lafitte's involvement in the Battle of New Orleans underscores his cunning, resourcefulness, and the complex duality of his character, a man who could be both rogue and patriot. His story remains a fascinating blend of heroism and infamy, turning him into a folk hero despite, or maybe because of, his outlaw status. Under pressure from the authorities, Lafitte ultimately abandoned his stronghold in Barataria Bay in 1817 and relocated to Galveston Island in Texas, which was under Mexican control at the time. There, he established Campeche, a new base for his activities. Lafitte posed as an ally of Mexican revolutionaries, even flying a Mexican flag to maintain political cover while continuing his piratical ventures. Lafitte would make Galveston Island his base of operations from 1817 to about 1820. During this time, he established Campeche, transforming the island into a hub for smuggling and privateering. Lafitte and his crew patrolled the Gulf of Mexico, or as we now call it, the Gulf of America, exploiting naval routes and conducting raids to amass wealth. Although Lafitte's time in Galveston was relatively short, his charismatic personality and daring exploits left a lasting impression. He was known for his charm, his gentlemanly demeanor, and the ability to win over people, including the local population. Today, Lafitte's legacy lives on in Galveston through historical markers and museums dedicated to his fascinating story. His time on the island remains a captivating chapter in Texas history. Lafitte's activities would eventually draw the scrutiny of the U.S. authorities once again. They demanded he vacate the island. Rather than surrender, Lafitte burned Campeche to the ground before abandoning Galveston altogether. This act of defiance marked the end of his operations in the Gulf, adding to his legend as a pirate who would never bow to authority. Lafitte's attempts to transition into a more respectable lifestyle brought him to Alabama. In 1815, he legally settled a dispute regarding the sale of a ship located in Mobile. During this time, Mobile was a small but diverse settlement with French, Spanish, Creole, and American influences, and Lafitte likely frequented places like Montuse's Tavern near the fort at the foot of Government Street. Lafitte's activities in the Mobile-Tensaw Delta reflect his adaptability and his efforts to navigate the changing political and social landscape of the Gulf Coast at the time. His legacy remains intertwined with the region's rich history. One story of his time on the Delta talks of his first time sailing into Mobile Bay. As they approached the bay from the Mississippi Sound, the famed pirate spied an isthmus jutting out from the shore, and on the very tip of it stood a large wild tom turkey. Lafitte named the spot Coq d'Inde, Rooster of India. Americans have since bastardized it into what is now the town of Codin. After leaving Galveston around 1821, Lafayette's whereabouts became shrouded in mystery. Several intriguing rumors have emerged over the decades. Some believe he died around 1823 in the Gulf of Honduras, possibly during a naval battle. However, others speculate that he faked his death and lived under an alias, most notably that Lafitte relocated to North Carolina using the pseudonym Lorenzo Farrar. Farrar, who moved to Lincolnton in 1839, was wealthy, politically savvy, and was reticent about his past. All of this led locals to jump to the conclusion that he was in fact the Pirate Jean Lafitte. Some accounts claim he retired to a private life in Cuba or Mexico, while others suggest he continued as a pirate in distant seas. There are even tales of him burying treasure along the Gulf Coast, though none has ever been found. Another rumor involves Lafitte's ship, the the Pride. Some treasure hunters believe he scuttled it near Galveston Island and that it holds hidden riches. His disappearance has fueled countless legends, ensuring his story lives on. Jean Lafitte remains an enigmatic figure, a man who straddled the worlds of crime and heroism, diplomacy and defiance. He was both pirate and savior.
Hey y'all, Stu wanted me to ask you, he wanted you to hit the like and subscribe buttons. That's not that hard. It's not like you need a really bendy back for that. Just hit the like and subscribe buttons and we'll all be good.